Hi, Big Tractor Power fans. Today you got a special treat. Jason, the man, the myth, the legend behind the YouTube sensation, Big Tractor Power, sat down in my kitchen and did an interview. You're going to hear how he got started and where he grew up, where he lives now, and it is a great interview. Hope you're as excited as I am to watch this interview with Jason Hassert from Big Tractor Power. So Tom Corcoran here in Western New York, videoing our friend Jason Hassert from Big Tractor Power. Hey Jason, how you doing?
Doing well. Good to be here.
So we were talking, and he brought us a little gift tonight. He brought us
the
8786. Tell us about this tractor.
Sure. Well, this is a tractor that I really own. Big V8 International. It's the biggest tractor International ever made at 350 horsepower. And the reason I like it so much is growing up, I grew up in Western New York. A lot of four-wheel drive tractors. There's actually more four-wheel drive tractors in the Rochester, Syracuse, Buffalo area than anywhere else in the world.
I find that hard to believe, but you say it's true.
It's true. If you think about it, there's a lot of 500,000 acre farms in this area that have 3 or 4 of these tractors. You know, they're not the big brand new 600 horsepower ones, but they're, the weather here, short growing season, encouraged a lot of big four-wheel drives. So back in 1979, a farm near where I grew up on our street bought a brand new 4786, and with that V8 engine, like, that was a sign of spring. You got to, you'd hear it like a mile away pulling a 10 bottom International plowed. It was just so cool. Watch it in the field or drive up the road. A few years ago when I was filming for Big Tractor Power in Kentucky, I was driving down the road, went by this big John Deere farm that was really impressive. And I thought, well, those are cool, but I was going to film a big Challenger tractor. I'm like, I can't do the Deeres today. But then I saw this tractor sitting out behind their shop, and I thought, I've got to go back. So I turned around, and I just said, I'd love to film this. And they said, well, it's actually for sale. So I ended up buying. I always thought I'd like to buy an Oliver 1755 or an International 7, just a normal size tractor. But
you blew right past that goal.
I'm like, that was the best, because it just was part of my childhood, watching the real thing at work.
And where did you grow up?
I grew up in Churchill, New York, and near Rochester, and just a lot of great farming in the Western New York region. And so it was really exciting. Not only did I get to buy the real tractor, but I got to make a toy of it with the Ertl Toy Company in Case IH this year. And actually, this is me driving on the side of the box. So I wanted to give it to my friend Tom here to
Well, we sure appreciate that. So Jason and I were sitting here talking tonight, and he was telling about how he got started in his toy tractor times and his Big Tractor Power, how he got that started. So he's just going to explain to us real quick, give us a Cliff Note version of how he got to be where he is today.
Sure. I have liked tractors all my life, since I could walk. And the reason I do is I did not grow up on a farm. I grew up watching tractors working around our house. I thought they were neat. But in order to teach me my colors, my parents would ask me, what color is that tractor on the side of the road? And there were 7 dairy farms between our house and town. And there was an Alice Chalmers, and there was a Case and a Ford. So, blue, orange, and so I just was hooked on them, and just watched them. And I'd sit out in my front yard, and I actually had one of these 915 combines, and a farm on our road had one. I'd sit in the front yard and play with it, and they'd drive by, and I'd be like, I just wanted them to know, I'm like, hey, I've got one too.
How cool is that? So one of the farms that was right down the road, right around the corner from where Jason lived, was my wife's aunt and uncle's farm, and they farmed Case tractors, and they still have them to this day. And Jason's got pictures of them at home from back when he was younger and used to take pictures. So how did you start taking pictures and get the...
So I was in 3rd grade, and for my birthday, I wanted a Kodak camera. I don't know why I wanted it, but I wanted a Kodak camera. At that same time, my dad and I were driving in the car, and the Paul Harvey News Hour came on, and it announced that Tenneco had purchased International Harvester's Ag Division and was merging it with their Case division to call it Case International. And I remember thinking, I told my dad, I said, everybody runs International around here. Like, what happened? And then I was just convinced that there would be no more International or Case tractors. Like, they were just going to vanish, and everything would be Case IH. So I thought I better start taking pictures. I was in 3rd grade, so I started just taking pictures of tractors wherever I could.
We had to
capture the
document these
history.
tractors.
That's
yeah.
right. Here they were. So I ran track and cross country in middle school and high school and college, and I'd carry my camera with me. I'd run 7 miles a day, and I would just take pictures of the tractors that I was passing while I was running.
And you said a lot of times in the evening the tractors would be parked, and you
back
get
then,
to take pictures.
nobody really worked after dark, and that, so there they were sitting, and I'd almost like tiptoe into the field to get a picture, and I know all these farmers today, and I always joke with them. I said, I'm a longtime stalker and a big fan of your farm.
I love that line.
But I would take all these pictures, and I just had them, and then I moved to a big city for my first job, and there was no farming. It was just all traffic and apartments and boring. And the internet was just starting. And I was looking around, and there really just wasn't any websites about tractors or, just a few things on 2-cylinder John Deere's, Farmel M's. And I'm thinking about, where are the Steigers, the Big Buds, the Versatiles, the Case, the John Deere. So I thought, I have a shoebox full of all these pictures I took in Western New York. So I started a website called toytractorshow.com, and I had a picture of the 915 combine on our road, and I had this toy, so I called it the Toy and the Real McCoy. And I do a little write-up. 915 was, made from 1969 through 1976, and then I would talk about this toy. And all of a sudden, thousands of people are coming to my website to look at these pictures, and there was no digital. I'd have to go to the drugstore, develop the film, and then scan it in, and then make a website around these scanned-in pictures.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of work.
Dial-up AOL.
Wow. And then how did it progress from there?
So then I met a gentleman named Peter Simpson, who wrote a book called 4-Wheel Drive Tractors Around the World A to Z. And he had a website called Big Tractor Power. And he used that to promote the books, and I helped him out with it. And then when he was done, he said, you can use this website. And so I just started writing up stories on the history of Steiger, the history of Massey Ferguson, Alice Chalmers, big tractors. And then I bought the Toy Tractor Times print magazine and started a website called toytractortimes.com. And, it had a message board, and people were talking, and I started sharing all this information.
And you said that was wildly popular.
It grew, and back then the website would crash because too many people were on it. So it just grew and grew, and then I started taking like taped video, and then I'd have to send it to my web developer, and we'd process it and get it up on the website. And then YouTube came along, and I joined it in 2010 because I wanted people to see like all the big farming. I'd moved to Kentucky. I wanted them to see all this big farming, and so I was just throwing videos up there for people to enjoy, and I'd say, hey, I was in this field, and there were 5 combines and all these big tractors, and I had no idea about subscribers or likes or anything. I just wanted people to see it. And it really
You were just doing it because it was a passion of love.
I just wanted people to see the tractors.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't until 2015 someone said, hey, you've got 25,000 subscribers. And I said, I do? I looked at it, I'm like, wow, look at that. And it's just grown and grown and grown. And then I started, initially I thought people would know this is a really super rare combine and you should be really excited about it. But most people didn't know. So I started explaining what the machines were, and that's when people really started, watching the videos, and it grew. And talking to Tom, he's like, I can't believe there wasn't a time people weren't watching Big Tractor Power. And then you found on my early videos, I think it has 612 views. So
yeah, from 10 years ago. It just blows my mind. I mean, you're so popular now. Your videos are so great. Even that was a great video. I just can't believe it. It took a while to gain some traction.
I encourage anyone, we don't have a lot of control over, the algorithm really directs. It's all about what you watch as an individual, what the algorithm thinks you want to see, because they want to keep you watching YouTube. So you just have to keep on plugging away. And my most watched video has 10 million views now. And I pour over videos. I just spent 5 years filming John Deere self-propelled forage harvesters because I knew 2022 would be 50 years. I thought everybody's going to be excited. They're going to see 11 generations of forage harvesters. And it just kind of did okay. It didn't set the world on fire. But I the video with 10 million views, I slapped it together at almost midnight one night because I was trying to get a video out every day. And I'm like, I'm not going to break the streak. And I just slapped it together and posted it. And in 5 days, it had 1 million views. And I
That is
just
crazy.
wasn't invested in it. I just thought it would be some fun footage to share, and away it went. So you never know what is going to do well.
What's going to take off? Yep. So Jason and I, we met at Rantoul in the summer of 2021. He was out at the Half Century Progress show, and we met, and we've kept in contact. And you couldn't find a more genuine, nicer guy. And I every time he's up in this neck of the woods, we try to get together. And tonight he stopped by, and I said, if you don't mind, I'm gonna do a quick interview. So
Sure. I mean, we grew up, we live in almost the same town, and I did not know about your farm out here. And so when I found out about you were in Western New York, I'm like, oh, I got a link to home.
That's right. So we did a farm visit today. Some cool guys around in the neighborhood where Jason grew up. So it's only 20 minutes away. So always good to see him. Anything else you want to add about your channel or your?
I just appreciate all the people that enjoy watching it. I mean, one of my favorite things about the channel is finding classic farm machinery. I'm always excited to see the big modern $1 million machine. They're impressive, but I love being able to share the history of actually capturing something that's 40, 50 years old, doing exactly what it was supposed to do, looking good out in the field, just to not only the facts of the history of its specs, but just the way it sounds and the way it functions is really exciting to bring that to people and preserve it, because so often you can meet somebody, again, I like these 15 series combines. I met someone that had one. I filmed it in the fall, and they'd owned this combine for 40 years. And the next year they traded it off for a totally, like a newer machine. What? I'm glad I got it, because you never know,
Right.
one day
Right.
it could be here or gone.
And the history you're preserving and the facts and things. And I mean, I've been a farmer my whole life, but I watch Jason's videos and I learned something almost on every one of them I watch. And it's just great, the history and the amount of, you can basically search Big Tractor Power and find just about every piece of equipment it seems like ever made. So I really appreciate the work you've done, and I think a lot of your subscribers and viewers do too.
Well, and I enjoy the work that you're starting to do on YouTube and your Instagram, because you bring a lot of fun and personality and humor, to farming, in addition to the serious stuff of the mechanics and the cover crops and the harvesting and things like that for people to think about. So it's a great mix.
Jason and I met through Instagram, so if you don't have an Instagram account or a YouTube channel, you got to think about starting one of both, really, in my opinion.
I feel blessed. I've met people all over the world. I talk with people in Australia and Germany and England. It's just neat to see. I enjoy seeing the way people farm in other places or other states. It's exciting.
Yeah, so leave a comment and tell Jason how great a job he's doing, and we sure appreciate your time. It was good for you to sit down and have this interview with us. Thank you.
It's always good to get home to Western New York. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Jason.